Hello everyone and welcome back. It's sunny, it's Monday, and we've written our words, haven't we, Socks? We've worked on a few different projects this morning. And this afternoon, here's Socks to say hello. We're going to do the next part in this video to do with Cosy Books. Now, if you remember what I was saying, my thesis is that Cosy Books are not about mysteries, they're about place and about people. And places and people that we want to go back to as readers. Sometimes that means a series where each book in the series revisits and amplifies the things we enjoy about these fictional places, environments. Other times they're just singular books that bear rereading. It doesn't matter how many times. And some of these books that I'm going to talk about, I've been revisiting for more than 30 years, believe it or not. Look, Socks is sitting up. I'm going to lower the camera so you can see him a bit. There we are. And as I do that, he slinks down to lie down. Look, Socks, up here. Nope. Yesterday I went through a whole heap of different kinds of books. Today, I might do them all in one. I might not. It might take 2 more videos. But anyway, crack on. St. Maybe. Now, Anne Tyler, I've read again and again over the years. This is my copy from May 1992. It's a book club copy where QPD was the book club, and you'd get these paperback, softback previews of hardbacks. And they would begin hooking you in with a really cheap deal where you'd get a whole pile of books for not very much money. But after that, they would send you Book of the Month. And you'd have to buy it if you hadn't ticked the right box, and everyone forgot to tick the right box, of course. So you ended up with books you didn't want and having to pay kind of normal prices for them, which was really annoying. But this was early on, and I really wanted it because in about 1990, I'd read my first Anne Tyler's and just adored them. I always said from the beginning, it's like eating a whole bar of Galaxy chocolate. And it still feels like that. And St. Maybe is the one from 92 that I've probably read the most, I think, about, again, one more dysfunctional family and Ian at the centre of it. And we follow him through a number of decades as he becomes kind of the last man standing in his generation. As everybody moves away, he's the quiet, slightly wishy-washy one who is left behind to look after other people's children. He blames himself for the death of his brother and his brother's new bride. I think this is right. And just through mischance. And he ends up bringing up the children of the new bride. I think that's it. And we watch them grow up and grow into adulthood, and Ian becoming this slightly hapless older man. It's a really lovely book, and we follow them through years after year, years after years, year after year, and sometimes 5 years will drop between chapters. In 92, it taught me a lot about constructing novels and constructing time and hiding all the hard work. Anne Tyler makes everything look easy and keeps it light, and of course it's not. There's all sorts of construction work going on underneath that she's far too good and good-mannered to let you know about. And that's why she's my favourite novelist, I think. Also because she writes about embarrassment, about mortification. There's a bit where the crazy religious cult that Ian gets in with takes over somebody's house, and they think they've got permission. And they're doing a picnic indoors for one of their kind of away days, and they cause some damage to a fancy table. And just the mortification of the whole thing is wonderful. It's embarrassing. That's what she writes about so well. Ordinary embarrassments, and the way people show themselves up or let us down, or we show ourselves up or we let ourselves down in public. And that shouldn't be cozy, but it is, I think, because it's about the the reassuring quality to that we are all at some level dickheads, apt to show ourselves up in public. And she understands that, and she understands all of us, it seems. That's how it feels anyway, after 35 years of reading Ann Tyler. So I will always return to her and her cozy feeling Baltimore, the world of suburbia. And it's not chintzy and it's not rich and luxurious at all. It's slightly down at heel, slightly run to seed, the world she conjures. Who else? Millie Johnson is somebody I return to. I've only discovered her in the last 5 or 6 years, maybe. This is one of her, not most recent, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, one of her Christmas novels. And I read it maybe the Christmas after it came out. And it's intensely, oh no, it's 5 years old. It's intensely cozy because it's about 3 couples being trapped in the snow in North Yorkshire and finding a pub in a village and having to spend the whole of Christmas together. And they get all the food out of the freezer, all the decorations out in this old-fashioned pub, and make the best of it. It's a kind of festive disaster movie with supernatural undertones. As we go on, we realise some of this stuff is impossible. The local radio broadcasts that they're getting seem to be coming out of the past. They're not just nostalgic, they're actually archaic. The food that's being supplied is just right, almost like a fairy tale. And gradually we realise there is something supernatural at work, something quietly supernatural. It's like a kind of jolly M.R. James story. And the tensions come from the tensions between the people divorcing, people not quite getting together, people breaking up, lots of dramas, and they arrive with them. They arrive in the middle of their dramas and have to work them out together through the days of Christmas. So it's cozy for that kind of enclosed, Christmassy, base under siege kind of story, where we know the limits of their world and we live there with them for the duration of the novel. But also her characters, I think, are cozy in the sense that they seem familiar each time. Even when she introduces new people with every book, they feel like part of Millie's world, and that's one worth going back to. They kind of tend to be full of good sense and gumption and ire. Similarly, another contemporary romantic novelist, I guess, comic romance, Carol Matthews. This is the first in a duology, Happiness for Beginners. I think that's right. I've read lots of Carol's. There's a sequel, a Christmassy sequel to this that I've got and enjoyed a few Christmases ago. This is the one about Hope Farm, an alternative school for children with a kind of petting zoo attached. So it's full of waifs and strays and llamas and chickens. And then Molly, who's the heroine, falls in with handsome Shelby Dacre and his son, who's brought to the school. And it's a similar kind of profane, enjoyable romance in the same way that Millie's is. These aren't pretentious or well-to-do people. Well, your posh fella is, Shelby is, but your characters are, that awful contemporary word, relatable. Sometimes in romance, people are so far removed from the experience of the reader, it all becomes, another horrible word, aspirational. And we're living in this fantasy land of impossible romance. The great thing about Carol's books is that they feel like they're happening to people we know and people we might be. And when they get lucky in love or in whatever it is they're choosing to do, because all of her heroines have their own kind of preoccupations and businesses and things that they're up to, whenever they strike it lucky, we feel it for them. We feel like we're going with them on that roller coaster. So this is 2019. I have this real weird timing thing with COVID, and that things that seem 2 years ago are actually about 6 years ago. We skipped over the middle bit, which seemed hideously prolonged at the time. It was its own little kind of oxbow lake, to use a geography term that I'd forgotten I knew, where the river corrects itself and leaves this little scar in its progress through time. And that's kind of what the pandemic was. I read a lot of books in the pandemic. Yeah, so Carol I'd recommend as a cozy author as well. I'm not sure any of these writers would thank me for calling them cozy. It sounds a bit sedentary and complacent perhaps, but to me it's the kind of highest of praise, because it describes writers who you trust to spend time with and to relax with, and not to kind of jolt you with surprise out of your relaxing time, your fun time. Because above all, we should enjoy what we're doing. We should enjoy all of this reading we're embarking upon. And that's one of the problems, isn't it, when people go off to fall in love with reading, then go off to study and go off to college. I know so many people who did an English degree at the same time as me or afterwards who gave up reading. They were cured of the desire to read by studying. And I think that's just awful. What an awful thing to happen to you. Reading should always be a refuge. It should be a safe place. And again, that's not complacent and ditzy. I think it's about having a safe place to reorient yourself and to think, and be ready to re-engage with the world when you emerge from your books, if you ever do. I've only got through 3 books, but I'm going to stop there and talk about the rest in the next episode. Socks has left as well. So we'll both be back tomorrow or the day after, and to describe more of these. I'm quite into this. They're almost becoming a kind of definitive collection for me of coziness. Okay, goodbye. I will see you again quite soon.